everybody, it's Marie here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a walkthrough of my 2025 December album. I'm quite impressed with myself. I've managed to get this into one book this year. One album, not one book. It's quite full. If I stand it up, it does want to pop open, but it does fit and it will go on the shelf nicely. I need to design an acrylic December title to go on the front, without a doubt. Need one of those, and then I'm going to get a little 2026 in acrylic to go down here as well, because all my other albums have got that on in my cupboard where I keep them. So let's get started. I'll take you on a little walkthrough. This contains lots of cut files from our Advent calendars. So every year I do an Advent calendar that's suitable for December daily type albums. So they're all suitable to fit on a 6x8. There's one that I've used in here that is a bigger cut file, but I'll show you that when I get to it. This is obviously from the 2025 December album Advent, because obviously 2025. And I've used the mainly Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Christmas, whichever one it was from this year, and it was the vintagey looking one. That's what I've used. And yeah, so the first page is a flip out page. And I've got my cut file here. I do like to just put a little bit of ephemera on, a bit of vellum, lovely little Christmas tree there over the 0. And then when you open it out, this is our my Advent calendar page. I've done this kind of page before with the tags and I absolutely loved it, so I just did it again. You get like designs that you like and just repeat them if it works for you. And this is one that I really, really like. So each tag, underneath each tag is one of the Advent calendars we had this year. Now, we are a family of 3, but we actually ended up with 4 Advent calendars, quite normal. So we all had a chocolate one. No, that's not true. I had a chocolate one. My son had a chocolate one. My husband had a cheese one, so that had to live in the fridge. And then all together, we had one called an Escape the Room. No, Exit the Game. Goodness me, I'm making things up. Exit the Game. And it's basically a puzzle a day, and you have to work out where the next which door it is that you need to open next by solving clues, and it's great fun. They're a lot of fun, so I highly recommend those if you want something to do as a family on the run up to Christmas. I have just got little circles here that hold the tags down. These are adhesive brads. They're not real brads, as in they haven't gone through the page. They're just adhesive ones, but they make it look like they're fastened on that way. And then each page does have the number from the collection. So this is obviously day 1. I say day 1, I'm quite fluid with my days, if you like. My days tend to be, the numbers tend to be stories rather than days, because some days I will do 2 or 3 things that want to go in, and then other days there won't be anything because my husband and my son are at school and busy, and you know what it's like. So mine is more 25 stories rather than 25 days. So day 2, or story number 2, was a trip to one of our local garden centres where they'd got everything out for Christmas, this fantastic sleigh. And I've made an effort this year to have as many interactive elements as I could, but also journaling on every single page, which I don't often do, but I've realised is actually really important. So this is day 2, literally just some smaller photographs, bigger photograph in the middle, and then some little embellishment clusters. Then we move on to story number 3, which was the Christmas market in one of our local towns. And I wanted to use this bow cut file. I used a vellum page to kind of partly hide it. I like having vellum pages. What I tend to do is cut up the cut file backets, which is what I've done here. And then I cut the cut file again, removing all of the inside contour lines, so it's just a solid piece, and flipping it so that you get the right bit of the textured paper showing, and then cutting it again. So this side is solid, this side is the cut file that's been backed. And then I've put my journaling on here, and then I've got the photograph here. You can see from the photograph why I wanted the bow, because there was this giant bow from one of the shops in the village. So I just thought that was a beautiful photograph of us all. Then we have story number 4, which is I've used one of our Noel cut files. I don't think that one's in an Advent. I think that one might be available just on its own in the shop. And I've just put the photograph in the O. The photograph is of a garland that is now wrapped around my banister in the hallway. I have always wanted a garland around the banister. Never had one, could never find one that I liked. Found one this year, decided to get it. And then the story about it is hiding in here on this tag. So I haven't stuck the pages together fully, just so that that tag can be slotted between the photograph and the page itself, and that gives a great way of tucking in extra journaling if you need it. This one, oh, I love this one. It took me so long to do, but I'm so happy with how it turned out. So we've got the holly frame cut file here, which I have cut twice, I believe. No, I haven't, I'm lying. Have not cut it twice. Cut it once, stuck it on a 6x8 page that I just cut out of cardstock. In fact, this is probably a little bit bigger than 6x8. I think I do 8 1/4 by 6 3/4 just to make it slightly bigger, because I want the pages to match if I use any page protectors. So I do cut the pages slightly bigger. And then what I did was I backed the cut file, and then I really carefully cut round so that when you turn over, it's just a really neat shape. I could have used my machine to do that, but I decided just to do it by hand. And then what I've done is I've strung the number 5, because it's the story number 5, down the middle of the frame. So it's just attached on little bits of string which are tied here, and then I've kind of glued down the ends in a sort of swirly artistic-y way. I don't know if you can see that. So then when you turn over the page, it does actually reveal my husband and my son in the forest where we picked our Christmas tree. But when the 5 is down, they're kind of hidden. And I really like that because it kind of reveals them as you open that page. I'm really pleased with that page. I've not done anything like that before, so really pleased with that one. I do love full page photographs. I've got a real love of full page photographs. So obviously my husband and my son in the forest where we were picking the tree. The next page is some more from that actually. We took so many photographs while we were there. And we've always taken photographs of them poking their heads out from behind the Christmas trees and carrying the Christmas trees. So it's kind of like a bit of the tradition is to have the photographs. And I love this slanted way of kind of recording the photographs across the page. Really pleased with that. This paper is a Vicky Boosting paper from her Christmas collection. And then I've used a photo, turned it into a tag for the last photograph from that day, from that story. Because where we were picking our tree, they had these enormous, fluffy, friendly dogs. I think they were Bernese Mountain. I forget the breed, but they're huge. And they're working dogs and they love to work. So they were collecting money for a local charity to us, which I thought was fantastic. And basically what you got is this dog with a trailer, and it actually towed your Christmas tree to your car for you, which I just thought was fantastic. So we gave some money to the charity. And then I've told the story on the back there with another Christmas tree. Another vellum page here with Noel, with my husband and my son decorating the tree. And this is story number 6. So again, I've done the same thing as I did before. Cut the cut file, backed it, stuck it on the vellum. Cut the cut file again with all the inside of the letters, the lines, the cut lines removed, so it becomes a solid piece. I've left the spaces in, obviously, but the solid piece. And then I've used that to put my journaling on, and yet another full page photo, and yet another full page photo here. This is Poppy, my little buddy. And then I've made this into a double page for story number 7. We always do silly dressing up of the dog at Christmas. I used to have 2 dogs. We do only have 1 now. But I dress her up at Christmas and put her in silly outfits, and she does not mind at all because she gets gravy bones out of it, so she is quite happy to do that. And the journaling just up here, another cut file here, the camera one. Love this camera one. I think that might appear in many albums for many years. This one, story number 8, is the cut file that I was talking about that is not designed to go in a December album at all. It's 12 by 12 one, but as you can see, all I've done is backed it and then cut it in half so that it goes over 2 pages. And this one is in a page protector because of the way I needed to do the paper wasn't going to be big enough if I'd cut it in half. So I just put this one in a page protector. And we've got me and my friends making our living wreaths as we do now every year. It's become a bit of a tradition. and I've got a couple of photographs here, and then I don't know if you can tell, but the middle of the wreath is a photograph of the wreath. So that's that one. And then the journaling hidden just in there. Again, it's not stuck with pages together. Story number 9 is the story of the new decorations that I've bought for this year to hang on the tree. So I've got a little, like a plush little mouse, and then a pot little mouse, and then a dog one that said, a bone, it says, "Have yourself a furry little Christmas," which I loved. We've got story number 10, again, another tag. I'm liking having tags this year. I've always wanted a giant gnome or gonk, whatever you choose to call them. I tend to call them gonks. He's enormous, and I saw him in a shop, and he was just massive. And I sent a photograph to my husband going, "Can I get him?" And quite surprisingly, my husband went, "Yeah, go on then." So we've now got him, and I actually haven't put him away. He's still stood there on the stairs. I love him. I think he needs to stay there all year round. I loved my gonks. So there's my story. Story number 11 is my husband and my son at their yearly school event at Doncaster Minster, where they go to have their carol service. Now I have this same picture from maybe 5 years ago with them both stood in front of the tree, and it's lovely to see how Elliot's growing up. It's so nice, and I love having the photograph of both of them together. There is some journaling, and that one is tucked in the side there, again just between the two pages, not stuck together properly. Another gonk story, I do apologise. This is one I made this year. So I've crocheted him. The beard, obviously not crocheted. The beard was bought from Amazon, but everything else I've made. So that's story number 12. And I think, if I'm right, I've double-sided the journaling that pops in. So one side is the journaling for the carol service, and one side is the journaling about the gnome or the gonk. Just tuck him back in there. Great having little pockets. Story 13 is using the Holly Jolly cut file. Again, that's one from one of our advents. Merry is also one from one of our advents. And this year we did a Christmas jigsaw, and this was a Rendale. I love a Rendale jigsaw. Just lots of individual little pictures all over, and it was lots of fun to do. Journaling, hiding behind the photo. In fact, yes, journaling. I didn't know if I'd included any other photographs. I haven't. It's just journaling on a lovely wood grainy snowflakey paper. I think that's an Echo Park paper from quite a few years ago. I bought loads of sheets of it because I really liked it. Story 14, we went to a local house near us called Belton House. It's about an hour away. And they do a light show, and it's beautiful every single year. So for this one, I've got the full page photo, as you can see. Something stuck on it there. I've got the full page photograph with a little bit of a cluster at the top there to talk about where it is, and then I've used one of the pocket pages that come with the albums. So when you buy Simple Stories albums, you often get these pocket pages, and this one I've used I've got the light string cut file here, again one of the advents, and I've backed the whole light in the same cardstock, but then I've backed the light part of it with vellum, so that it kind of makes it look more glowy, so that the same paper is there and there, but this bit's covered with vellum, and I really like the effect of that. And then I had so many photographs from these light shows, and I always struggle with them because quite often they can end up a bit blue, and I struggle with blue with Christmas because it doesn't quite. I'm a very traditional Christmas colours, green and red, as you can see. So what I did was I used the pocket page. I put one really fun photograph of me and my husband here, and then the other photographs and the journaling from the light show, I have just put all on little cards, and they just tuck in to the pocket, and I love how that works. I do and organise them. I like the green one in the middle and the red one at the front. It doesn't really matter which order they go in, but they just sit in there and I can pull them out whenever I want. Story 15, just a fun photograph of me and my son, I think in another garden centre, but we just happened to be under this garland wreath. No, it's not a wreath. it was stood on the ground, I can't think, arch, that's it, an archway of baubles, and it was beautiful. So I decided to decorate the page with baubles, a little bit of journaling at the bottom, and then I cut our photograph with a circular die to go inside this bauble cut file as well. Story 16 is a flip out page. I've put the Christmas tree cut file on the front, one of my favourites. I've backed the stars with shiny mylar. I don't know if you can tell that they're shiny. Oh, there you go. You can see that they're shiny. And then the rest of the tree is backed with vellum. And this is the story of my son wrapping his own gifts this year. He's grown up so much. And yeah, he wrapped all of his own gifts that he bought for other people. And he bought gifts for everyone this year, which was so lovely. Gosh, he's growing up. Story 17 is just a beautiful picture of our tree, journaling behind. I thought that was quite apt. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And this one is just showing that we've got the presents under the tree already. We've had a little conversation with Elliot about where presents come from, and he understands all of that now, and that Christmas is all about giving and caring and family and all of those kind of things. So whereas in previous years we would have kept all the presents away and put them out on Christmas Eve, this year we just started gathering them under there. And it helped. It made everything feel really Christmassy. Story 18 is me sat by said Christmas tree enjoying a Christmas book. I actually read 3 Christmas books this year on my Kindle. I read everything on my Kindle. And I loved this because I've got, these are little library cards. They're from the Simple Stories collection, but they are like proper library cards. And so I've written my journaling on another piece that looks like a library card, tucked it in there. And then all of these, because it's a book, I just thought it fit really, really well. And I'm really pleased with that page. That's 18. 19, these always move. 19 is another pocket page, but I've made the pocket this time. I literally just cut a piece of cardstock, gave it some edges, red line tape just to make sure it stays secure. And then inside we've got the tag with the photo on, which is actually my favourite Christmas mug, another Rendale one. I love these mugs, but they only come out at Christmas because they have gold bits on the design, so they can't go in the dishwasher, which annoys my husband to death. So they do only come out at Christmas. That's fine. Now, story 20. I've used the stocking cut file on vellum again, done the same thing, got rid of all the contour lines and cut it again so that you've got that lovely kind of divider page. And the story this time is in a pocket page protector, and it's about the stockings that I made this year. I crocheted everybody, I mean there's only 3 of us, but I crocheted us all a stocking and hung them on the garland that we have over our fireplace, and it just looked beautiful. So I've got a little bit of journaling there and then a couple of different photographs. On the other side of the pocket page, this was done deliberately in this order so that I could use the pocket page. This is a card that was made for me by my very, 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 very best friend. And she made me one last year and it went in my album, and she made me one this year. So of course that had to go in the album, and a little bit of journaling, and then the card just tucked away in there. And it's got a little shaker pocket here. I can't make it shake, but a lovely little shaker pocket. Story 21 is us decorating our Christmas cake. My father-in-law always makes us a Christmas cake, but it comes to us always just as the cake, and we always decorate it. So we put the marzipan on, we put the icing on, and then we put something silly on top every single year. We've had Pokemon, we've had Lego, the little Lego figures you get out of the Lego Advent Calendars. We've had those on. These are 3D printed pet rocks. They're really cute, and Elliot had the idea to make a snowball wall and make it look like they were having a snowball fight. I don't know if you can see that, but it is the cutest thing. They're actually having a snowball fight. So, I don't know what's going to go on the cake next year. We seem to have to keep topping our ideas every year. The back of the tag is where I've put the journaling and a whole load more photographs. So I've taken the tradition cut file and popped it on a pocket I've made out of vellum stuck to the back of the tag. there's a little bit more ephemera down here. And then I've made this little fold out of the pictures of them decorating, rolling out the icing, putting the icing and the marzipan on, and then me and Elliot actually decorating, making all the snowballs, and then a little bit journaling on the back, and a couple more photographs of him with the finished cake and the number. So I've like, the whole thing was rectangular, and then I popped a tag here to make it just one part of it into a tag so that I could fold it up and slot it into its little pocket. Very happy with that one. The next one is Story 22. It's our Christmas Yule log. We've never made a Yule log before. It was, oh my goodness, it was so messy. It was so difficult. I don't think we got it quite right. It was still really nice. But we made our own because then I can make it lactose free. And it was really nice. We need to tweak it next year, but really happy with it. So I've made it look like the photo is in the bowl. This is again one of the cut files from one of the advents. So I've made it look like it's in the bowl, and the photograph is stuck down, but the journaling comes out, so you can read all about our chocolate Yule log. Story 23 is Elliot making our gingerbread star tree. We've stopped making gingerbread houses, and instead we bake our own gingerbread. We've got the most amazing recipes. It is the most beautiful gingerbread. It's so good. I'm pretty sure it's so full of sugar, but it's really, really good. And basically we make stars in all different sizes, and then you stack them up one on top of each other, and it makes it into a Christmas tree. So I've got this as a fold out. Again, another cut file from one of the advents. So this is him icing in between each of the layers. I've got a bit of journaling and a couple more photographs there. This one is a see-through page, so I've made this one on acetate. So I did the frame, I backed it twice, but I did one of them flipped so that you could back to back it. Do you see what I mean? So you didn't have any weird bits sticking out. And then there's just this tag here that comes out. So I've not stuck that down properly. I've made a tag double-sided with all the presents and all the gifts and everything, including Elliot's stocking and sack, under the tree waiting for him. And I loved the idea of this acetate page. That was a lot of fun to do, because you can still see through to the tag then on the other side, which I like. And then this is Christmas Day itself, Story 25, and it's Elliot opening his Christmas sack in the morning. I've got some journaling here, some lovely bits of ephemera. I've got the sack on the front, which has got a photograph tag that pulls out from behind with another couple of photographs of him. And then when you turn over, we've got Christmas dinner, and everybody enjoying all the food together. I think this is the only page I haven't put any journaling on, because I think it's pretty self-explanatory that we are sat eating Christmas dinner. And then the last page is Ho Ho Ho, which is my little girl Poppy again, having her Christmas presents under the tree. So she's got her own little stocking, and then she's got a gift there. And that is it. That is the whole of my December album. Some of these pages came together really easily. Some of them I had to battle with for a little while. But I love how the album turned out as a whole. I'm so pleased with it. I love, even now I'll go back to like 2020 was the first one I think I did. And I love looking back through them. I hope this has inspired you. Maybe you've got a December album that you are halfway through. Maybe you haven't started yours for 2025. I adore these, and I hope this has given you a little bit of inspiration for yours, maybe for this year, maybe for next year. But thank you ever so much for watching. Please do leave me a like, pop a little comment down below if you've got time. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.